So I want to talk about Sharon, how this affects Shannon Watts and this woman are connected. This woman is a professor of psychology. She has the best education. She's had the best education possible. And psychologists have a lot of power, both in the court of law and society. What they say affects society no less than politics. And she chooses a 51-year-old married mother of children, chooses to come and complain about this judge. For years, she didn't think to complain about him. She's led a successful career in a prestigious university. And now she's taking up all the news time in the US is whether he's going to be nominated for Supreme Court judge. Now this woman attacks him, attacks this senator whose voice is important. And she said, look me in the eyes when you let a person like Kavanaugh enter the Supreme Court. All right, so let's look at this. He groped this woman when he was a teenager. Supposedly, that's what she says. It's her word against him. She doesn't remember anything about the location. And there's no witnesses. No witnesses whatsoever. The fact that other women make allegations, anybody can make allegations, especially when they have a political agenda. Which she definitely does. Shannon Watts was murdered by her husband, very clearly. The man dares to make constant allegations against his deceased wife. Now, when I say this to people here around me, they say, oh, doesn't this happen in America every day? I don't know, but it happens in Israel, that's for sure. It happens in Palestinian territories, that's for sure. It happens all over the world that men murder their wives. And a lot of times when they're pregnant. Now there's an evolutionary reason for that, because in evolution, when a male mates with a female, he sometimes, this is in the primate family, he kills the I don't know how you call them, the young, that they have a different father because he wants the female to only have his children. And it has to do with spreading his own DNA. It's the evolution of a certain species, there's a struggle to promote his DNA, yeah? This is how it works in nature. Animals have children, have young we call them because they're, different names, in order to spread their DNA. This is survival of the fittest. Now, when a male actually destroys his own children, his own DNA, that's something counter-evolutionary, and that has to do with an infantile personality. When a man doesn't realize that he's a father first and foremost. And that I have to say, I'm with the conservative party in that way, that it's very important to maintain family values as far as when it's okay to do whatever you want to in society. It has to do with education, it has to do with a lot of things. When you can just have promiscuous relations with everybody, and that's, everything goes. Anything goes is also damaging, because then it's not the first case. There are many cases of men that have affairs. Usually there's an affair, and the man decides he doesn't want to be with that woman. And the way he can get away from the woman is to destroy also his family completely, his children even. Because the other woman becomes the most important in his life. This happens too often, and this is not given stage. This woman was not even raped. Is given more stage than Shannon Watts, whose birthday is tomorrow. She would have been 35, and she's dead. Her 2 daughters are dead. Her unborn child is dead. Why is the FBI not investigating why this happens? Let's investigate it. Why is this professor of psychology not busy trying to understand the minds of murderers? Psychology can help by investigating, going into prisons and investigating why men choose to murder their children and wife. There must be a mechanism working behind it. To me, it seems connected to having affairs with other women and then deciding you don't want to be in a relationship anymore. But why do they choose to murder rather than divorce, separate, leave? Psychology can help save lives by investigating criminal minds, by preventing people from killing themselves, from killing other people, by understanding human behavior better. What does she choose to do? Talk about what happened to her when she was 14 years old when she took alcohol. What messages this send adolescent girls? Okay, get drunk and then accuse somebody years later. You're traumatized? Well, you can't just say I'm traumatized. You're a professor of psychology. Now, in my understanding, I only have a BA in psychology. I'm not a professor. When you're traumatized, that means that your function in life has been disturbed. Like Monica Lewinsky, she never married, she never had a family of her own. Something happened to her that prevented her from leading normal life of a young woman who marries and has children. Maybe it's wrong of me to say normal, but let's say a woman can choose not to have children, that's for sure. But it seems to me that when you see Monica Lewinsky and she's spoken about the whole incident in the media and how she was exposed in the media and how her boss, the President of the United States, used his position of power. This is all still connecting to what's going on in the U.S. Unfortunately, the liberals, the Democrats, have not been able to give a good platform for women. So when this woman is accusing senators, take responsibility for the Democrats not offering an alternative, a good enough alternative. They should choose people differently. Not a Hillary Clinton who represented a rapist of a young girl. Not Bill Clinton who had sexual encounters in the White House, in his office, with a girl his daughter's age. And while his daughter went on to have a family, this woman did not. Could be that she didn't want to, but from the way she talks, it looks like she is traumatized severely. And everything's been in the open. We all know the Monica Lewinsky case and Bill Clinton. But this case, all of a sudden she remembers groping when she was intoxicated. First of all, women should take responsibility, and men. When you drink, you cannot control your behavior. That's something that should be very basic. Alcohol is it's a risk factor. It causes people to lose control and inhibitions over their behavior, whether to be violent or, I'm not saying to kill, but they do engage in behavior that is promiscuous. And also drugs are a factor. Drugs and alcohol affect human behavior and may cause them to do things they would not otherwise do. I really wish this woman would step down and focus on how to help other women, and this woman too. Let's help other women. Let's help educate young girls to take responsibility, to stay safe. Not because women have to be safe, but because human beings have to be safe. And women are vulnerable to rape more than men. I'm not sure, actually. Men can also be raped, but let's say statistically, women are in greater danger. So don't put yourself in a risk situation. That's how I was educated as well. Don't go to places alone. Yes, we are vulnerable, and we need to stay safe. So let's not drink. Go to parties unsupervised when we're minors. Let's go only to places that are safe for teenagers. So put ourselves at risk, and then 40 years later complain. And let's not take up stage, and let's talk about domestic violence. And if the conservatives want to do something, is instead of focusing on abortion, on canceling women's rights not to give birth to children they do not want, and flood society with unwanted children. Let's focus on empowering women in the home and in the businesses so they will be safe. Let's fight sexual predators. That's my wish. Let's fight for women to be safe and for sexual predators to be not in a position of power, but in a way that's a joke considering Donald Trump is in office. But let's hope that even a man who may have done whatever he's done as a drunk teenager can change and become a different person and set standards of behavior in the U.S. that a man doesn't just use women and murder them. And let's do something to fight domestic violence and murder of women, and especially pregnant women. And let's recruit everything, psychology, law, every means we can to empower women in society and to protect them from sexual predators within the family. Unfortunately, most of the murdered pregnant women have been murdered by men they knew. Let's fight violence within the family. And let's focus on the living and not the unborn also. But let's protect the unborn from domestic violence of violent. Rather than abortions, let's fight also. If you don't want dead embryos or fetuses, also fight for laws that put away violent men, protect women from violence, men they married or date. Peace, light, and love. And let's hope America has better priorities, and let's take responsibility and support each other, support women, and not spend time in what happened when you were 14 years old and being groped. But let's talk about women that are murdered and raped and abused, and children and women that are being raped and abused every single day in their homes. Peace, light, and love.